Welcome to Mother Daughter Projects. I'm Steph, and today we're gonna dig some holes. Now, we actually borrowed this postal digger from our local library. We went online, put a reservation in, and a couple months later, it was time for us to pick it up at the library. We signed a waiver, and for 2 weeks, we had this postal digger. Now, we were wondering, how good is it gonna be from a library? So today we're gonna check it out and see, will it dig?
This is the corded post hole digger with auger bit that we got from the library. You can see it arrived nice and clean from the library. The first step was to find a long extension cord that would reach into my backyard. I'm wearing hearing protection, eye protection, steel-toed boots, gloves to help with grip, and a jumpsuit to protect me from flying dirt and debris. This was my very first time turning on the tool. I started it and just let it dig into the ground. But here you can see, as the tool went down, it got stuck on roots and spun out. So I took a minute and then tried it again. This trigger is variable speed, so I held it really loose to keep it at a low speed, which allowed me more control of the tool. But still, I had it spin out on me again. This is when I realized it was getting caught on roots jamming the auger. So what I ultimately realized that if I do an up and down motion while I'm digging, it will give the auger a chance to break up the roots without getting stuck on them. Here you can see all the roots that were in the hole. Ultimately, down in the hole, I found some really thick roots that were not going to be able to be broken up with the auger. So I moved on to a different spot in my backyard that had fewer roots. I continued the same up and down technique while it dug, and this was very efficient in this location because it has way fewer roots. Now, you'll notice that I have to bend down the deeper the hole gets, so it will take some decent upper body strength to move this tool up and down. But the auger never got stuck in this hole, and it dug in about a few minutes. Here's the same hole sped up. You can see the auger is very efficient and flings the dirt towards the edges of the hole. The digging depth is about 22 inches for the 6-inch wide auger bit that comes with the tool.
So we're not just digging holes here. I actually am trying to dig a 48-inch hole for a product called the Doggy Dually. Now, this is a product where I can throw dog poop in it and it will naturally decompose instead of having to throw it out in the trash can, which is something that I'm highly interested in doing. So this location, though, we ultimately realized was just too close to where we normally walk through the backyard, so we tried a third location.
I was able to get about a 22-inch hole dug in this third location, but still needed it to be twice as deep. And you can see we still had some roots in this area, but I was bound and determined to dig this hole. I found that you can buy an extension set for this tool. With the 3 extensions together, it will give me the depth I need for the Doggy Dually. Here I'm adding the 12-inch extension. The auger bit easily removes with a pin that attaches to the head of the tool, then you add the extension, then the bit below that. So this was 34-inch depth. Here you can see I'm continuing the hole, and it was working well, but it was still definitely getting caught on roots and was more of a challenge to bring up and down as it was longer. And what you can't tell from the video is that it was about 95 degrees with 80% humidity, and even though every inch of my body, with the exception of my face, was covered, I was still getting bit by mosquitoes. Here you can actually see them swarming. So ultimately, due to the heat, mosquitoes, and too many roots in the backyard, I had to give up on the Doggy Dually system. But one day, if I move and have a backyard with fewer trees, I shall attempt it again.
What we learned. Now, ultimately, I didn't like the cord. That was the first thing that I noticed. Sometimes it would wrap around the tool when it got away from me, and I'd have to kind of maneuver around it. Ultimately, it didn't get damaged, and overall, this tool worked. It dug holes really well. I would say this is a great solution, especially if you don't have a lot of roots to go through. This is going to do a hole really nice, fast, and efficiently. Now, obviously, I wanted to make sure to clean this tool before returning it to the library, so I realized there's just a little pin between the head and the auger bit that I could remove, and then I could remove the bit, and I just sprayed it down with water to get it nice and clean. And here you can see it's all clean and back in its bag, ready to be returned to the library. Now, would I borrow this tool again? Yes, I would definitely borrow this tool if I needed to dig just a random hole for something. But ultimately, if I was going to be digging a lot of holes, maybe for a fence, I'd probably invest in a battery-powered auger, something like the Ryobi auger, give that a try, just so I didn't have to deal with that cord. But overall, really happy with this experience from borrowing from the library. We are borrowing one other tool from the library and maybe some more in the future. And we're going to do a full video about the process of getting the tool from the library. So let us know, have you ever borrowed anything from your library, a thing that wasn't a book? If you want to see more projects from us, be sure to visit us at motherdaugghterprojects.com. All right, Mom, say bye.
Bye. I'm back here behind the camera.
All right, thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.